Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Pierce and this video is about my 2007 J-Feather by Jayco 23-foot EXT rear slide. So I purchased this trailer from a dealer and had a bunch of water damage, so I got a really good deal on it. But I had to rebuild a couple of things. As you can see from the interior, it's in really good shape, except for the water damage in the front end. So all I had to do was take that apart and rebuild it. This video will show you how I went about doing that. This is my Jayco 213 2007 with the rear slide. We just picked it up recently at a discount because it has some water damage in the front end. The upper gasket, which we'll take a look at it, has broken its seal, and water has gotten in both behind the front skin here and on the inside of the fiberglass and caused some interior damage. We'll show you that in a moment as well. We're going to replace this front skin here with aluminum, and you'll see how to do that coming up. As you can see, we need to address this delamination and some of the rot that's gone on inside there. So I'm going to get to it. This here is the gasket that connects the front skin to the roof. Now, generally this is screwed down, and this version it's actually screwed down improperly. They just used regular old screws and put caulking over it. That doesn't typically work. I suggest a neoprene gasketed screw so that you can prevent this type of leaking from happening in the future. Also, the caulking job was not done very well, and it's been a long time since it was done. So I'm going to remove this strip, take it off, remove the side straps, which I'll show you how to do momentarily, and from there we're going to see exactly how bad things get. Now that we've successfully removed the trim from the top of the RV, we're going to have to work on the trim on the sides and on the bottom in order to get this front skin off. Greasy. This is what water damage looks like. Now this is all on the outside of the rig. So, you know what, a lot of this substrate is not that bad. The top is good. I think I may even contact cement it. I haven't decided yet. PL, maybe contact cement. And aluminum over this. I might even put ice and water shielding in. I haven't decided yet. So, now we've got the skin off the front of the RV. The water damage isn't that bad, actually. I mean, you know, if you don't want to go this far, it's pretty bad, but we're going to be able to sort it out relatively quickly. I'm gonna take you inside. You can see the ceiling has very little water damage here compared to over there. So that's where the water was coming from, and be that side. Now there's a little bit in the closet on this side, and I might put a block in there as well. But I'm not gonna replace the whole piece because really it's just to be holding that gasket down up top. And all of the wood I'm going to fasten to this aluminum bar here. I'm gonna fasten all the way through it so that there's plenty of strength to hold the gasket on this time. Step after that, I'm gonna try and figure out how to sturdy up this area here. I mean, that's a big old hole. Now what was in there before was these guys. This is just an insulation. And I might put that back. I might clean it up and put it back. I think I'm gonna wrap it with blue skin or ice and water shielding or something before I put the aluminum back on. So stay tuned. So now that we've got the front end off, the next thing is to clean it up and get it ready for whatever it is I decide to use to try and waterproof this. I mean, I know I'll be putting aluminum on the outside, but I'm thinking an ice and water or blue skin inside. So I got to get the surface prepped and go from there. So let's clean it up a bit. So, now that I've sanded down the substrate, I think I'm going to put some ice and water shielding on it. I'm going to see how much I have. We'll get started, see if it sticks. If it does, it can't do any harm, that's for sure. This is ice and water shielding. Typically it would be used for a roof system to protect underneath your shingles from having ice and water damage. In this case, I'm going to put it on my trailer. I don't know if it's going to stick. We're going to find out anyway. This is an exploratory exercise. But if it does stick, it's going to provide some pretty serious water protection on the front end, which is going to go really well with the new aluminum system we're putting in. So let's see how it goes. So it looks like the ice and water shielding's working. It's holding for now. The bottom's not holding as well, but I anticipate if I take a heat gun to it, it'll actually adhere, because once you heat the stuff up, the membrane, once it gets warm, the adhesive on the back becomes a lot more sticky. So if you take a heat gun to it from the front and press it down on, it'll likely stick. So I've got it holding up with some tape here for now. And then before I get to that, I'm gonna apply the next 2 layers and get everything prepped right up to the top. I forgot to spin the camera back, so you missed me installing this, but that's good because I fell over twice trying to do it. In any case, I'm going to put the fiberglass or the styrofoam insulation back in this top section here, and I'm going to use that as the substrate to apply this as well as it goes over the corner. So I'm going to clean up the back of that, put it in. I also have to replace these 2 rounded wooden blocks here and there. So I'm going to pop one of them off, make a little jig, and then put a couple of those back in, brand new, so they don't, so I have something to screw to. So let's do that next. So I've removed this curved piece from the upper part of the trailer. Now, this is where the front skin wraps over and the roofing meets at this end. So I'm going to replace this because, as you can see, it's completely rotten. So all I have to do take a piece of 2x6, trace the piece I need, and then I'm going to make one for each side. So, let's go. I've replaced the blocks at the top two sides of the trailer, as you saw in the last part of the video. Now I'm going to be putting in this styrofoam, which came with the RV, came out of that spot. I can't imagine I'd find this somewhere else, so it's important that you keep something like this, especially if you're lucky and it's not moldy. It got a little wet, a little musty, but there's not a lot of mold on this. And I sanded it down a little bit just to get whatever surface mold might be on it off. Sprayed it with mold control just in case, and now I'm going to be putting it back in and fastening it in place lightly with some duct tape for now, before I end up putting the interior substrate back in. Well, there you have it. That is working by the look of it. I'm going to take the heat gun to it. I think letting it sit in the sun for a day, probably helping it adhere quite a bit. And then the next steps after this is on will be to trim down the edges. We got edges overhanging here. They need to get trimmed down or even folded over. I haven't decided yet. We do have trim for that, which is the stuff I pulled off earlier. Anyway, I think that's enough for the day. The sun is going down. So just a little end of the day note. You should always, when you've got an RV torn up, you should cover it up, whether or not it's going to rain. They say there might be a thunderstorm tonight, so we're going to leave it as is. I tilted the trailer back as well so that you know, if water does hit the top, it'll roll off the back and hopefully nothing rolls in. But I'm not too worried about one night, but you don't want your trailer inundated. So anything you can do to prevent that is good, because it's going to be another couple days before I can get this done. A few days later. All right, so we're back. Today we're going to be finishing off the front and doing a little work on the inside. So we're going to start by cutting off the trim, or trimming off the edges, I should say, of the isolator I put up the other day. And from there, we're going to be installing the checker plate, the aluminum, and all of the trim. We'll do a little bit on the inside too. So now I'm going to take a heat gun and apply some heat to this membrane to make sure that we've got proper adhesion. So now that we've heated up the membrane to allow for better adhesion, the next step is to apply the aluminum. We've got the first piece of aluminum up, and we're going to reuse this top piece here. Now, my wife and I have taken some time and taken off a lot of the old caulking just to make sure we can make nice new caulking lines. So what I'm going to do here is put a little bit of lap sealant, self-leveling lap sealant. You can get this stuff on Amazon, 7 tubes for about 30 bucks, or you can get it at an RV dealership for 20 bucks a tube. It's up to you. Anyway, we're gonna start with this. We're gonna put this underneath the piece of trim here that's gonna hold the top on, and in any other place where we think there's gonna be leaks. So let's get that done. So not so much left to do out here. We're just going to we've put one piece of trim up already. We're gonna put the other piece of trim on right now. I'll time lapse that because I've been forgetting to time lapse the last little while because I'm so excited about getting it done. In any case, we've got 2 pieces of aluminum installed now, and then the bottom piece is checker plate. So we're gonna have a little bit more trim to put on. Then I'm gonna caulk everything, and the outside will be done. We'll be moving on inside from there.
Well, folks, that got us from the beginning of the repair to watertight. So that's where I'm going to leave it off for now. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this and more of what I do to the camper. Moving forward, I put in a new floor, I do a new countertop in the bathroom, and yeah, there's plenty more where that came from. So I guess leave a like or a comment and let me know if you'd like to see another video like this one. Thanks.